I'm Alma Lingua, and the Lusty Month of Meyer continues with the film for people who thought the Benny Hill show was too sophisticated. Up! It's hard for me to even describe the plot without getting demonetized, so if you're the type who needs a trigger warning...
No.
There's not much plot getting in the way of the story because there's not really much story either, but the action kicks off with the murder by piranha of a Charlie Chaplin mustache degenerate named Adolf Schwartz, who resembles a more famous Adolf. But the murder mystery is really more of a vehicle to delve into the sexual misadventures of the small-town cast of suspects. There's Paul and Alice, the, open-minded couple who run the diner. Let's just say those doors swing both ways.
If you know what I mean.
There's Homer, the lecherous sheriff, who looks like he could be Peter Boyle's redneck brother. A lumberjack fueled solely by animal lust and beer. And most importantly, wisecracking supervixen Margot Winchester, who spends a lot of the film's running time jogging through the landscape. Wackiness and a lot of ridiculous sexual positions ensue. I'm going to start with the positives first, and to me, the film's biggest positive is Raven De La Croix as Margot. Not only is she stunningly beautiful, she's got great comedic chops and does a dead-on Mae West imitation. Every time I see her, I love her more and more.
Maybe it's my personality.
Raven was born Lynn Christie Martin, the eldest of 8 kids. Growing up with an alcoholic stepfather, Raven's escape was old musicals on TV. Interviewed by Russ Meyer biographer Jimmy McDonough, she says, "I'm a strong woman, but I'm not an aggressive male stuck in a female body."
I'd like to strap you on sometime.
That's a good line. I've used it once myself.
Working as a music promoter and raising a 9-year-old son at the time, Raven was discovered having lunch at Joe Allen's in West Hollywood by Meyer's casting agent Samantha Monsoor. In addition to her career in the music business and roles in films like The Lost Empire and Screwballs, Madame Delacroix has been an ordained minister, a spiritual counselor, a drug rehab counselor for prison inmates, a psychic, and a stripper with a theatrical touch of old-school burlesque. According to her Facebook page, she's currently causing ripples in the space-time continuum. McDonough writes of her, "She manages to be old world and outer space at the same time. Raven's a searcher, a romantic, but despite the frequent incursions into the fantastic, there's no bullshit about her. She's lived 9 lives, a few of them even on this planet. I think she's terrific. I wish she was in even more movies." Some Meyer fans really love Up, and while it's not my favorite of his films, I can understand why. There's some great outrageous set pieces. My favorite one involving an axe and a chainsaw that reminds me so much of Evil Dead 2 that I swear teenage Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell must have snuck into this movie.
Whoa.
And of course, I always love Russ's signature visual and editing style. Also, why isn't the sexploitation murder mystery more of a subgenre? Some things you just gotta do yourself. The film also was personally important to Russ because it's the first film he made with his paramour, Kitten Natividad. Kitten was recommended to Russ by none other than the Supervixens leading lady Sherry Eubank, who, according to Meyer in his memoir, said, "If you thought my big conical handles were something, wait until you see Kitten's." Kitten's role in the film was created during the editing of Up. Russ concocted the idea to have a nude woman as Greek chorus to narrate the film, probably to remind the audience that they're still watching a murder mystery. For this task, Meyer enlisted his buddy, Roger Ebert, telling him that it doesn't matter what she says, it should just sound kind of poetic. Ebert says he pulled down the first book of poetry he had, paraphrasing the poetry of H.D. Hilda Doolittle, which he claims no one has ever noticed because maybe RM fans and HD scholars aren't the same people. There was also the first movie where Russ Meyer regular and the actress he proclaims a Watusi gun bearer, Ushi Daigard, served as an associate producer. Ms. Delacroix had nothing but glowing things to say about Ushi. Now the downside. Up has the unenviable task of following up Supervixens, which balanced outrageous sex and violence with absurdity perfectly. Up, though, feels less cohesive. The humor is more sophomoric and silly, and the violence, instead of feeling outrageous or provocative, It just has a mean-spirited taste to it. Despite being put through the ringer physically on the film, De La Croix enjoyed working with Meyer and thought he had a great sense of humor. However, she thought Russ compromised his vision with Up, following the advice of whom she refers to as secret friends when it came to the script, trying to strike back at uptight feminists who hated his work, and to compete with what, for the sake of YouTube, I'll call hardcore adult films. I agree with her that Up seems way more influenced by those films, where the gossamer thin plot serves only to propel a series of sex scenes. Meyer biographer McDonough thought the mean-spirited undertone in the film was due to the acrimonious divorce with the third Mrs. Meyer, and a bitterness towards women that had metastasized following that. Although some love Up because of its total absurdity, to me it feels more like a bunch of random events strung together rather than a cohesive whole, with Meyer trying hard to be outrageous and instead feeling forced. And for a movie that runs only about 80 minutes, there's a whole lot of filler in there. But for some of y'all, where I see incoherence, you might see anarchic fun and embrace the whole live-action cartoon for adults vibe the movie has to offer. Join me next time for the show I've been promising and will finally deliver. Let's take a trip to Vegas with the long-overlooked roughie produced and starring exploitation godfather Dave F. Friedman, The Pickup. But until then, stay sick.